Hello, I'm Richard with EV4U Custom Conversions. And in this episode, we're going to look at a few of the vehicles that we were able to view at the California Auto Museum in Sacramento, California. And so come along as we check out their current exhibit. It's electrifying alternative fuel vehicles in California, and hope you enjoy it.
This is a 1911 Detroit Electric. They produced 12,300 of them between 1907 and 1939. Weighed about 3,500 pounds, and the original price was $2,800. And they had an 80-mile range at 20 miles per hour. This car was popular in the early 20th century because it didn't have a bunch of noise and smells and vibration of the gasoline engine. And you had the convenience of starting with just the touch of a switch. You didn't have to crank it like you did the gasoline cars. And so it was popular with a number of celebrities, including Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Mamie Eisenhower, and John D. Rockefeller Jr. This is a 1960 electric shopper, model FG75. These were built from 1956 to 1962. Weighed about 700 pounds, and the original price was $750. Then for the steel-bodied ones, they also were available in a fiberglass body for $945. They had a 30 to 35 mile range and were sold nationally, but primarily in Southern California. The electric shopper was built by the Electric Car Company of Long Beach, and like I said, it was available in the steel or fiberglass bodies. But the fiberglass ones were styled to emulate the look of a full-size car of the period. The shopper was a three-wheeled car with a tiller steering, had 6-volt batteries that were wired to provide 24 volts to the 1.5 horsepower electric motor. Top speed was 18 miles an hour. Regulations in California at the time allowed operation of these vehicles on sidewalks, especially for elderly operators. Catalina Island encouraged the use of these little cars with exemptions and from certain automotive regulations. Many of these exemptions still exist today. This is a 1997 General Motors EV1. This was the vehicle that was featured in the movie Who Killed the Electric Car. They produced 1,117 of these, and they were built from 1996 to 1999. They weighed 2,870 pounds, and the sticker price was $33,995. Although you couldn't buy one, they were only leased. GM claimed a 120-mile range, but actual range was closer to 50. Like I said, they were leased only, and mostly in Southern California and Arizona, and then later in San Francisco, Sacramento, and Atlanta, Georgia. And the vehicle was really well received and respected by those who leased them, and they were a little upset when GM took them back and crushed them. But about 40 of these cars remain today, and they're mainly in museums, and GM gave them to museums and universities and research institutions. And like I said, the rest were crushed. But It was a car that was ahead of its time. It has a very low coefficient of drag, and really at the time was quite a car. But of course we've come a long ways. This is a 2009 Tesla Model S prototype. This very car is the original Tesla Model S that was first shown to the public in Los Angeles on March 26, 2009. A functional vehicle, it had an early development hand-built powertrain. This prototype was used for countless media events, including an appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman, and eventually leading to the production of the Model S we know today. Well, while many electric cars have been relatively small and of modest performance, the Model S was intended to bring electric performance to a full-size 5-passenger, and actually with the optional jump seats, 7-passenger vehicle, more in line with the real world expectations that people have. The Model S is powered by a rear-mounted electric motor rated at over 300 horsepower, and it has an onboard charger and can be charged using 110, 220, and 480 volts. Charged at 480 volts, better known as the Tesla superchargers, it can charge the largest pack, the 85 kilowatt hour pack, in about 50 minutes. And of course, impressive performance, 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. The current production on the Tesla Model S is about 700 units per week. The original price for the base unit is $69,900. The weight is 4,647 pounds. Range, this is the EPA rating, is between 208 and 265 miles. And of course they're sold throughout the US, Canada, Western Europe, and China. This is a 2008 Tesla Roadster. This is what started it all off for Tesla. The 2008 arrival of the Tesla Roadster, an all-electric sports car, brought true excitement to the world of electric cars. Built by Tesla Motors, headquartered in Palo Alto, California, the Roadster was the first effort to produce a true performance-oriented two-seat sports car to be sold to the general public. It's based on the well-regarded Lotus Elise and built to Tesla specifications by Lotus in England. The car features an all-aluminum chassis with a carbon fiber body panels to reduce weight. The battery pack weighs 1,000 pounds and consists of 6,831 lithium-ion cells. The car is capable of 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds and a top speed of 125 miles an hour. The production of the Roadsters ended in 2012 as Tesla shifted production to the Model S sedan, and total units produced were 2,418. The weight was 2,735 pounds. The original price was $98,000. The range, based on the EPA test cycle, was 244 miles. And they were sold in the US, Europe, Asia, and Australia. This is a 2012 BMW Active E. The BMW Active E is an example of major manufacturers developing EV technology in cars already familiar to and popular with the public. The BMW Active E is an all-electric version of BMW's small 1 Series. The Active E is the car that bridged BMW's Mini E and the currently available I Series. BMW worked with UC Davis's Plug-in Hybrid and Electric Vehicle Research Center to track the experiences of private households leasing the electric version of the Mini E. The resulting consumer study is the largest publicly available study on electric car users. The Active E uses a 32 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack that powers a 168 horsepower electric motor integrated into the rear axle. The car is rear-wheel drive and capable of 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds. BMW made the Active E available to selected individuals on a lease-only basis, similar to the program used by GM with the EV1. A total of 1,100 Active E vehicles were being evaluated worldwide, with 700 allocated to the U.S. The cars began testing in 2012 with 2-year leases. In San Francisco, the rideshare program Drive Now exclusively uses the Active E. The program and enjoyment of driving these electric vehicles has been extremely successful. Like I said, production 1,100 of them, built in 2012. They weigh 4,000 pounds. They're leased at $499 a month for 24 months with a $2,250 down payment. Range is 99 miles, and they're leased in Europe, China, and the U.S. And the U.S. locations include New York, L.A., San Francisco, and San Diego, and Sacramento. Here's a car that I've always thought was kind of interesting, and it's one of the electric vehicles that I haven't driven, but this is a 2000 Corbin Sparrow. Mike Corbin made his name in the design and production of aftermarket motorcycle seats and accessories. Using that success, in 1996 he produced a light, single-seat electric car he called the Sparrow. He reasoned that a small vehicle would be good for urban commuting, easy to handle in traffic, and as a three-wheeler could be licensed and insured as a motorcycle. Built in Hollister, California, the little car could be recharged in 6 hours using 110 volts and 3 hours using 220. The Sparrow was capable of 75 to 80 miles per hour. First generation Sparrows were known as the Jelly Bean and have been featured in movies such as Austin Powers and Goldmember. Corbin Motors also produced a second generation Sparrow with a hatchback that was in part developed as a delivery vehicle for Domino's pizza outlets and was nicknamed the Pizza Butt. A 2001 example of this second generation is on display at the entrance of the museum, and it's the one with the flames on in the first photo that I've shown. 355 Corbin Sparrows were built, but only 250 were sold before the company declared bankruptcy in 2003. However, the Sparrow lives on today, being built by Myers Motors. The Sparrow was built between 1999 and 2003, weighed 1,350 pounds. The original price was $13,900. The range was 25 to 40 miles, and they were primarily sold in California. This is a 2001 IT sedan. The IT sedan was launched in 2001 by Dynasty Motor Cars of British Columbia, Canada. The company changed hands multiple times, and the cars are currently being manufactured by Dynasty Electric Vehicle Limited, based in Pakistan. The IT sedan is a modern development on the low-speed, local-use electric car. Offered in several body styles, including a pickup, panel van, sports model, and convertible, the car features a molded plastic body and extensive use of aluminum components to reduce weight. The IT sedan utilizes 6 12-volt wet cell batteries that power the DC electric motor. The car has a top speed of 25 miles an hour and can be shifted to turf mode, which gives it a top speed of 12 miles per hour for use on golf courses. The IT range of vehicles are classified as LSVs, or low-speed vehicles, and also known as neighborhood electric vehicles. And LSVs are intended for use at speeds below 25 miles per hour and can legally be operated on streets with posted speed limits no greater than 35 miles per hour. This vehicle is typical of what many view electric vehicles to be: low speed, low power, and short range. Full-size electric vehicles today are still fighting the stigma of being similar to a golf cart. That is where Tesla has made great strides, as well as guys like John Whalen, John Lawless, and others that are showing that electric cars are indeed not golf carts. The IT sedan has been produced since 2001 and is currently in production. They weigh 1,450 pounds and have a range of 30 miles, and they are sold globally. This is a 2002 Nissan Ultra EV. We all know the Nissan Leaf, introduced in 2011, was the first all-electric car available to consumers from a mainstream automaker in several years. Well over a decade of research and development were required before the Leaf came to market, and the Ultra and the Hyper Mini EVs that you'll see in a moment are among the Leaf's early ancestors. The Ultra, introduced at the Los Angeles International Auto Show in 1997, was the first production vehicle to use lithium-ion battery technology, which also powers the Leaf. These batteries offered greater energy from a smaller, lighter battery pack than the lead-acid batteries used in other electric vehicles, including GM's EV1. Despite offering such creature comforts as air conditioning, power windows, CD, stereo, dual front airbags, the Ultra was only available for lease to demonstrator fleets. 200 were built over 4 years. This is the last Ultra ever built, and it has covered over 26,000 miles. This is the 2001 Nissan Hyper Mini EV. The Hyper Mini paired a smaller, less powerful version of the Ultra's power plant with an aluminum base frame and plastic body panels for lightweight. All of its interior surfaces were covered in recycled materials, and the short wheelbase yielded a turning radius of less than 26 feet. 26 Hyper Minis were sent to the United States. 15 were used by the University of California, Davis in a research program at the Institute of Transportation Studies, and 11, including this car, were leased to the City Council of Pasadena, California. The exhibit is called "It's Electrifying: Alternative Energy Vehicles in California." And so in addition to the all-electric vehicles, they had some hybrids and some CNG, compressed natural gas, and also some hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. Now, this is an example from Nissan of a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. What is noteworthy to me is how complicated this vehicle is. One of the things that attracts me to electric is not just the efficiency, which the all-electric is much more efficient than a fuel cell or hybrid, or compressed natural gas, any of the internal combustion setups, but it's the simplicity. They're very simple, which makes them very reliable, and that's part of the beauty. So looking at this fuel cell vehicle, it doesn't really, for me personally, is not much of an attraction there. I'll share with you a few other exhibits and photos that I took while at the California Auto Museum. Here's some old gas pumps. Um, I think the early gas pumps are kind of interesting to check out, and so I have quite a collection of early gas pump photos that I've collected over the years. Um, and these are just a few from this particular trip to the California Auto Museum. Then, for you Volkswagen fans, here's a couple early VW Beetles um, with some early gas pumps. Here's a 1981 DeLorean DMC-12. The DeLorean may be one of the most spectacular automotive failures in recent years. The car was the brainchild of John Z. DeLorean, once the youngest division head um, in General Motors history. He was the head of Pontiac. Unveiled as a prototype in 1976, the stainless steel clad car was powered by a Citroen-built rotary engine. By the time actual production began in 1981, at a government-subsidized factory in Northern Ireland, the car featured a V6 sourced from Renault. The high price of $25,000 and performance that did not meet expectations led to a rapid decline in enthusiasm and sales for the car. Despite DeLorean's efforts to raise funds to keep the company going, the company only built approximately 9,000 cars before closing the factory in 1982. The vehicle featured, in actually, when it went to production, it used the Renault engine, which was overhead cam V6, 2.8 liter. It put out 130 horsepower. It came with either a 5-speed manual or a 3-speed automatic. It had front and rear discs, weighed 2,712 pounds, and like I mentioned, it was $25,000, which was a lot of money in 1981. Today, the DeLorean is probably best known for having been featured in the trilogy, the Back to the Future trilogy. The 3 movies produced from 1985 to 1990, of course, featured the DeLorean that had been modified into a time machine. Growing up, I was always fascinated by the British sports cars. One of my favorite cars as a teenager was the Triumph. I loved the TR6, the TR250. They were just really cool cars. But as I, got older and got to drive them and so forth, I realized that one, the British Leyland cars were extremely high maintenance and didn't perform as well as they looked. But they were a hoot to drive, and so I've always liked them for their styling and for the fun factor of just cruising. But pictured here is a 1960 Austin Healey 3000. Donald Healey was a successful rally driver and technical advisor to several British car companies after World War II. His desire to produce his own sports car led to an association with Herbert Austin, who provided financial support. The first Austin Healey was the Model 100, first shown at the 1952 Earl's Court Motor Show in London. Named the 100 for its top speed, it proved popular and successful in sporting events. The car gained a six-cylinder engine in 1956 and became the Model 100-6. The 1959 brought some refinements and the 3000 model designation. Referred to as the Big Heelys, they were overwhelmingly aimed at the lucrative American sports car market and were designed and priced to fit in between the less expensive MG and Triumph sports cars and the more sophisticated but more expensive Jaguar sports models. It featured an overhead valve 6-cylinder, 177 cubic inch, 124 horsepower engine. Transmission was a 4-speed manual with overdrive. Brakes were front disc rear drums. They weighed 2,562 pounds, and the original price was $3,370. The big Healey's were well-respected sports cars, but due to that price, Healey decided to build a smaller, less expensive model called the Sprite, and they were built from 58 to 71. The cars were so low that the headlights had to be placed in raised pods on the hood to meet regulations, leading to the affectionate nickname Bug-Eye. As a college student, my favorite car was the Porsche 911. And this particular one belonged to Linda Ronstadt. This is a 1982 Porsche 911 SC. The Porsche 911 is the embodiment of a true driver's car. It first appeared in 1965 with a lot of changes over the years. It is still alive, even in Porsche's current line of cars. The original 911 was a 2-liter car with an air-cooled flat 6 in the rear. A simple interior, excellent build quality, and a reputation for razor-sharp handling. As the years passed, the desire for more performance, greater luxury, and the demands of increasing emissions and safety regulations led to the addition of more luxurious interiors, greater weight, and larger engines to maintain performance. The SC designation refers to the Super Carrera name. For years, the Porsche S was the higher performance version of the standard Porsche. The Carrera name was given to a limited number of cars that received more luxurious interiors and equipment that made them more grand touring cars than hardcore sports machines. It featured, like I mentioned, as an air-cooled overhead cam flat 6, 3-liter, 180 horsepower, 5-speed manual transmission, 4-wheel discs. They weighed in at 2,750 pounds, and the original price, $28,000. So if you remember, the DeLorean in 1981 was $25,000. Here's a Porsche 911 SC for $28,000. So you can see the DeLorean was quite pricey. And last, and probably not least, is the Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. What year this particular one was, and I'm not sure, just glancing at it. But anyway, they had quite a diverse collection of vehicles at the California Auto Museum, and I recommend that you drop by and check it out if you're ever in the area. And I believe they're open 10 to 6, 7 days a week, and they're open till 9 p.m. on the third Thursday, I think it is, of each month. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this little diversion from our normal videos, and if you're not already a subscriber, we'd hope that you'd subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you next time.